a moment to arrive into yourself. Close the eyes. Connect with the breath. Really drop into the texture of your body, not as an object, but as the subject of your exploration. How does it feel to be you from the inside? Can you sense the quality of your blood, your muscles, the architecture of your bones? And your breath kissing you inside in the deepest intimate places, in the darkness of your being. I just want to take a moment to express gratitude for being together today. Gratitude for the beautiful sunshine that warm up our winter bones and remind us of the luminous awareness that is always there beyond the darkness of winter. And I want to express gratitude for our health, that we all have body that take us here, and we maybe take it for granted. And that we are living in a peaceful time and a peaceful environment, that we are not in a country that in this moment are dealing with war. I'm really grateful for that. Gratitude for the host of this household that so gracefully opened that door for us to come together and meet in truth. And gratitude for the stream of Tantra that is bringing a lot of blessing and expansion, surely to my life, and hopefully some inspiration to your life too. And gratitude to all the teacher, the Dakini, the Yogini that came before us, that have been carrying this current alive so that we can bath in it and really enjoy it. And deep gratitude to my personal teacher that put me on the path so that I can share my bliss, inner bliss with you all in this moment. It's grace. And maybe you can also take a moment to have gratitude for your teachers and the currents that are expanding your life, the people in your life that makes it richer. And the moment of grace. And I keep bringing you on journeys that are revealing, revelatory. Blessings. You know, they say that gratitude is the true healer. And amongst the trouble in life, we can just find pocket of gratitude and expand from there. Then we might bring healing to the dramas of our life. And it's so simple and so accessible. So thank you for coming and taking the time to be here and spend time with us as a collective. Tonight we're talking about spiritual eroticism and bringing the lens to feminine eroticism. And last month we did the work for the man, and this month this is the beginning of a wave of work with the women. So next weekend we're gathering in retreat, 3 days, and we're going to go deeper into this practice. And then it's August, and of course there's going to be many events this Women's Month. And so we'll have more opportunity to expand on the theme that we can unpack tonight. And I just want to bring some insights. And then I want to open the space for reflection and conversation, because we learn from each other. We learn from our life and our experiences, and this is really important. And this is why we say that Tantra is a living tradition. It means it lives in the body of the practitioner. It lives through the life of the practitioner. So it's not just dry knowledge. We need to put it into practice, and that's where we learn the Tantra. When we bring real questioning, how do I apply it to my life when this and that happen? And then the job of the guides is to help you to bring this tantric map into your daily life, and then you see for yourself if it works for you. Maybe you go deeper in it, and if it doesn't work, you do other things. As long as you're happy, then it doesn't matter, what you're identifying with. Tantrika, Buddhist, whatever, sex addict, if it works for you. So. Spiritual eroticism, I use this term, I have this belief that I birthed it, but of course it came through me, nothing is mine. When I was trying to describe what am I actually really teaching, because I did a lot of work around sexuality, but always intertwined with spirituality. And so the essence of spiritual eroticism is to start to use our spiritual attraction and our sexual attraction and desire as a spiritual practice, that the two are absolutely intertwined, that there is no separation from the sexual and the spiritual. And we come from environments and tradition that taught us, they demonstrated to us by social conditioning that these two things are actually very separate from each other, that there is no connection. There is the divine, that is about the intellect and the mind, and then there is the body that belongs to the devil the majority of the time, and every desire in the body is a curse, and we need to liberate ourselves from that. And so I'm going to bring in something that is very alive for me, that I just finished reading a book called The Anatomist. I forgot this author. And I bought it by chance at my friend garage sale, and he had a cover, a beautiful naked woman with a bunch of grape in her pube. And of course I bought the book by the cover. And the majority of my book I buy them by the cover, by the way. It's the first attraction is the visual. And of course, little did I know that this book told the story, a real story. It was an historical, of course, was told as a story, but it was very well researched, of this physician, Italian, from the 16th century, called Matteo Colombo. And he wrote an old treatise, how do you say, treatise? Treatise, an academic treatise about the clitoris. I mean, he also wrote about the pulmonary breathing system, and so he became very famous as a physician. But towards the end of his life, he started to get involved with the clitoris, and he started to explore more and more this physical part of the female anatomy. Was very little explored and very little spoken about it. And then he started to go into the bedside of the church, the Inquisition. He didn't like what he was doing. They was going into uncharted territory. It was giving too much time and space and interest to the female anatomy and her pleasure, that of course for the Inquisition was the devil. and the desire of woman were evoking the devil in the body of man, and this, we're not going to have it. And so immediately this polarity for me is really important to, this is like tracking down where our sexual wounds really come from, that we are still living in the body. These are hundreds and hundreds of years of having this conversation as a normal thing. It was endorsed by the sociality of this community, you know, the belief system. And so the intellect, the anatomies, the science was the expression of divinity, of God, is the knowledge, the knowing. And then everything that belonged to the incarnation, to the embodiment, was demonized by all means. And let's not even look at the fact that these women birthed everybody. That, of course, now we take it almost for granted. It is like, come on, the Yoni give birth. Aren't we devoted to it? A little bit respectful. That only 400 years ago, that was not even coming into their minds. So for this patriarchy, the man in power, this was not even an association. It was in complete denial. So they were also contorted and twisted in belief system that took them so much away of their embodiment. And so to go in, it meant to break so many boundaries. And this man, as a physician, did that. And the book is quite beautiful because he was fascinated as a physician about this organ that doesn't have any other function but purely pleasure, purely pleasure. And he came across this woman that was a very pious woman, didn't have any sexual encounter for many years of their life, and she was very revered and very honored, but she started to get so diseased. And she was very rich and donated all the money to the church, made a monastery, was an important woman, very respected by the church, and she was getting really sick. And so they summoned this physician, and that although he was having some problem already, they overcome this because he was good at what he was doing. And he goes there, and when he undressed this woman, it's funny because his assistant says, "Oh my God, she is a man." Because they found that her clitoris was so engorged that it looked like a small penis. And so, of course, his assistant, the first thing he says, "The devil! This is an act of the devil! Never seen this before." And of course, without thinking that he himself has a penis. I mean, this follows up on the conversation we started with the man last month. You know, this idea that men have about their own penis that is also a devil expressing. So when he saw another penis, he didn't say, "Oh wow, brotherhood, similarity, you know, let's connect." It was like, ah. So demonizing everything from the belt down. And so, of course, the physician told him to relax for a moment, and he started stimulating by instinct, by intuition, I think by enchantment and devotion, is just bow to this engorged clitoris and did the only things that common sense dictated, which is touch it and stimulate it. And he started to notice that it looked just like a penis, and he responded like the penis, and he started to move the shaft of the clitoris like he would do to his own penis, so he has a familiarity. And she started responding. I mean, this woman was so sick that she went into an unconscious state for days already when he arrived. And she started to give sign of aliveness in the body. Her breath deepened, the body started quivering, undulating, the breath started to enter the whole body. So he described this as a physician. I saw that the breath of life started, that the spirit, you know, they call it their language, that the soul came back into the body and lived in the body that until the moment looked like dead. And he proceeded to stimulate her until she arrived to the edges of orgasm, and all she was saying was like, how dare you because of course she devoted all her life to celibacy, and so the unconscious mind was resisting what happening, while the body, the conscious mind was resisting because was clashing with everything that she lived for, while the body was going with it and was becoming alive and was rescuing itself. Intuitive, the body was going there. Hello. And so, how dare you, but eventually she had an orgasm and she got better, and the assistant was still there all shaken. What happened? Is this the devil? And this was the problem, because then the assistants gave him out to the Inquisition, and of course was the breath of life coming back into the body. He named it as the breath of life, but then the fear to meet the mystery was so big, because when you're in the presence of a woman having a full body orgasm, it's disharming. You don't know what to do. You feel it's like the cosmos coming through this body is the thunderstorm and the tornadoes. It's intimidating. It's extremely intimidating. It's like we're watching the storm in the ocean. There is awe and attraction, and yet makes you feel powerless, small. It's divinity coming through. And that's, of course, the best way that this man could find overcome their own discomfort is to control it and package it and deny it, so they didn't have to feel so small in the light of the mystery, because they had to admit that they did not know a lot. And of course, instead, their power was in the knowing. The church knew everything. And that power wasn't going to be taken away from them. And so the story goes that this guy stays there, he does sessions every day, and this woman comes back to life, and they have this afternoon session every day, where of course after the session nothing more is spoken about it, but in the session she has this tremendous orgasm, keeps saying, how dare you, how dare you, how dare you, but not stopping him, It's like opening the legs wide. I mean, this guy was in shock how she was giving herself to him. There was absolute no resistance in the body. This opening. And he wasn't imagining with little glasses, just like taking care of not stopping. And she came back to life. She regained the power of her life and control of all her things. And by the time he leaves, there was a sort of silent love affair. She was completely entranced by this man present. Of course, she was in love with him. And he was entranced by the gift that she gave to him, And in the treatise, he writes, I speak about the clitoris, but it's your clitoris that initiated me to all of this. So I want to honor you. Although he was in love with another woman. And so, and then he started to write that to gain control, this was his belief, of this organ in the body of woman, it means that you now can control the will of woman, because the woman, her will is completely dependent on the clitoris, this organ of pleasure. Because when you give so much pleasure to this woman is falling in love with you. So now she has no control. She's not choosing who to fall in love with. And there was another woman that he loved dearly, so he had an agenda. He thought that by becoming very well skilled and versed, he could have this other woman fall in love with him. It's quite a beautiful story. I'm not going to tell you more about it. And that, for me, of course, brought up all my reflection in my journey of these many years of tantric sexuality, of exploration of body of women. So now we have the Om meditation. I don't know how many of you are familiar with this One Taste school in America. They created a whole practice for men to stimulate the clitoris of women. And I think, wow, look, if only this man knew this, that 500 years later could be so officialized and so beautiful. I see the beauty of how much we have moved. And also I'm feeling compassionate to the places where we are so deeply wounded, men and women, because we're really breaking through this spiritual belief that have hindered the freedom of the body. It all starts with my relationship with God. And this is a very different relationship that Tantra always had, as opposed to the religion. And so in Tantrism, we receive sex as the biggest mystery, as the biggest conversation we are having with the divine. And in that conversation, we are always humbled, and we are all students of it. And we learning. The more we give ourselves to it, the more the teaching can imbibe our body. And the learning of divinity living through this body come through the pleasure of our eroticism. So the relationship with God is erotic, according to Tantrism. And more now is entering our social experiences in many ways, and it's so beautiful. And so also the reflection that when a man is very well skilled in giving pleasure to a woman, is it true that she would fall in love with him? Because I had this reflection, I thought, well, I have to admit that if he's a man, he's really skilled, I'll let him get away with a lot of things. He doesn't clean the kitchen, it's okay. You know? If he holds me for hours in my pleasure, okay, I'll forgive him more and more. And a lot of the hysteria, you know, that then came up in the other movie and the other book, women being sexually unfulfilled have become really difficult to manage, and you know, and hard one to keep control, because we become destructive.
Disruptive.
Destructive. No, I want.
Both.
Yeah, both.
Destructive. The one that breaks.
We break things.
Oh,
We throw things in the kitchen, you know. And we break relationship, and we make things that are also valuable in our life, because this deep sexual unfulfillment is actually not in harmony with our true nature. This is the dharma of being a woman. If you are born in the body of a woman, you have been anointed with a pleasure purpose. This is a big sentence to say, and I am absolutely convinced of this, because this is how we understand reality, and this is our relationship with divinity that we open. And so, like we did in the satsang last month, if I take the genital of man and then I describe all the symbology of the masculine power and forces in the universe, we can do the same with the genital of a woman. And so the first thing when I look at the Yoni, I see she's got many folds. So woman is never what she just appears. The true beauty of a woman is in the folds, in the unfolding. And unfortunately, we are all wrapped up in a society that have taught us completely the opposite. That the beauty of woman is by putting layers on, instead of undoing and unfolding and unraveling. We put things on. We need to appear. We put the makeup on. It's a layer. We do the hair. We add clothing. We're very relevant. What are we wearing? How many layers of clothing? How many pairs of shoes do we need? How many coats? One for each different day of the week. I mean, in Italy, we needed to have a coat. No, the bag that matched the shoes. And of course the coat, but with the leather bag that matched the shoes. And that's your Gucci, your Prada, all the Valentinos. I mean, fucking handbag. It's what gave this woman identity. And this is something you can lose so easy. You put it down, it's gone. So then panic. Where is my Gucci? Where are my shoes? This is like terribly heartbreaking. You know, we are so lost in this. And maybe it's a design to allow women to be trapped and never find themselves unless they find their bag. You know? So, unraveling, the complete different movement. And so when a woman unravel, become naked. And in the naked body, there is the true beauty of woman. And has folds. We are designed to have folds because we are soft. The lingam is hard in erotic practices when we get aroused. So the arousal of the genital, it's a response to life. So when we have a good, healthy sexual life, we are quite active in our everyday life. Yeah, when we are depressed, we are not really operative in our sexual life. We don't have a lot of sex, and if we do, it's quick, half asleep. When you have really good sex, the world opens up and starts responding to you. And if you ever notice when you have a good shag one night, you go out in the morning, and if it's raining, the rain is beautiful. You smell the ground, and then you go to find your car, and you got a fine, and it's like, okay, I got a fine, whatever, because I've been freshly shagged, you know, I'm happy, there's been connection, I'm alive, I'm in my body, I'm ready, I'm fulfilled from the inside. So all these things from the outside don't matter so much. I'm in the queue, but I've got this massive grin. And then you start looking around, and everybody's smiling at you. And everybody looks happy. Yeah, they're responding to you, right? You're there with a big grin, and you don't even know what you look like this, and everybody's smiling back. And you think, look, everybody's happy today. It's a different day. It's not. It's that you are injecting reality with your inside joyfulness, and reality responds to you. And then the sky is better, is greater, the animals come to you, you know, the cats are purring, everything changes. It's so true. And you can experience this in your own life. I'm sure you have had a glimpse of this. So our sexual response activates us into life. So sexual arousal is this symbol. If you look at how you respond sexually, you maybe find the patterns to see how you respond in your life at large. So I'm going back, the man becomes hard, and we spoke about this last month. The woman softens. The Yoni, when she's aroused, she softens a lot. And so, let's see this as a map. The body of woman is intrinsically soft. The belly, it's soft because we're carrying the baby. And when the baby is born, we put it on the belly. And if you have a six-pack, that baby's going to roll off. Because you've seen them, they can't grip on anything when they're just born. They're depending of whatever stops them. Your soft belly will curl around it. Your breast, when you breastfeed the baby, your belly is right under. Now they're making this pillow for breastfeeding. They maybe simulate a big belly, you know, because if you don't have a big belly, also the baby drops. You have to hold it. If you have a big belly, the baby just sits there. So the folds of the body of woman is divine design. The fact that if you touch me and I receive this, I'm going in, you touch my soft belly, and I receive you in the depth of my being. That also means that the essence of woman, it's in the depth of her being. It's deep as her heart. You're not going to find woman on the edges of her being. That's a performance of woman. And it's what we all have learned in our hundreds of years of training. And women needed to survive. I mean, I just told you that story, you know. And so everybody had to come up with a solution. And so closing the legs and putting the pleasure away was the most natural thing. So now when the yoni relax and open, now all these folds become, for me, I always see this as curtains of the theater of life. And so we have the outer labia that protect and are really juicy, and they like a peach, not like an apple. The apple is got hard texture. It's like the peach. Inside there is juice, because intrinsically also we are wet. There is a lot of liquid. All the blood comes to the surface, and you can feel it when you look at the outer labia shining. And then when you part the outer labia, there is the inner labia, which for the majority of women are protruding and abundant. And then of course pornography taught us differently, that they have to be small and tight and neat, so that we don't look so messy and we are controllable. And also for me, this is my theory, is because smaller labia reminds of a little girl. Mm-hmm. It's the sexuality of a young girl. And for a man, it's much more controllable. And the sexuality of a mature woman, whoa, it's again that fucking mystery. It's the devil, because I have no control over it and I have to surrender so much so that it's scary. It's the Bhairavi for Europe. You know, it's terror, it's terrifying, you know. And we can go there in the philosophical way also. In mastering the terror is the real initiation into life, because terror is only, again, also a facade. Behind the terror there is the compassionate Kali. She's got a great heart. She's the mother of reality. And so little labia is okay. She's a little girl and I can control her and her sexuality, so she's not gonna change life and the rule of the world. And so the big labia, I love them because when you pull them apart, they look like the curtains of the theater, red curtains of the vaudeville, of the Moulin Rouge, the real burlesque show, you know? No performance here, darling. And then there is everything happen inside. And so the realm of woman, it's inside. So the yoni, the vagina as we know it, is only the entrance, is the temple where we go and bow and offer ourselves to it and ask for permission to enter, like we do in the first chamber of the temple. If you go to India, you arrive at the temple and it's so beautiful. It's got the step and the column, and we think we are mesmerized by all this beauty and the ritual and the flower. That's only the entrance of the temple. Then there is an inner chamber. And the inner chamber of the Tantric temple is dark and dingy and wet, intimidating. It's not so glamorous. And in fact, not everybody gets to enter the inner chamber. It's only for the initiates. And so we live in the world where that turns all of this around, and unfortunately our yoni has been opened and given to a lot of non-initiated being. And I feel I repeat a lot the conversation from last month, but of course it's the essence of the teaching. So, in our Western world, men are being educated to go and take something from women. And they take pleasure, status, power, and sense of self-importance. You're gonna go and put your cock inside of her and take some. You're taking a woman. We use this language, nailing her. We play with all these words. We screw her, we nail her, we hammer her. All this language of entering her forcefully. And I'm not saying, men grew up in this belief system, so they believe that this is how we do it. And all us women, we believe that this is how it gets done. So I just open my leg and let you screw me. In the Tantric tradition, I have a completely different understanding, where it's the feminine that takes the lingam in. And our muscles in the yoni are designed to suck in. You know, we got layers of muscle that are designed to make this motion. We milking the lingam. We milking the penis inside. We're not just passively opening and let the activity happen. So when a man is initiated, that's when he's ready to enter the inner chamber. And what the man would do is to just offer himself for when she's ready. When the yoni is ready, she will dictate how deep, how fast, how long for. She creates the rhythm of this movement. And many of us women never consider this, and we open the leg just because I'm a little bit wet and I think we want to make love, and oftentimes my yoni is not ready. But my mind overrides the readiness of my body, and we are acquiescing. Because we come from this mentality, coming back to the book, that the men know. Because that's what we've been taught for hundreds of years. That knowledge belongs to the masculine. So they will know better. And we have our first experience where we think that this guy is going to know what he's doing. He's going to tell me. He has no fucking clue. But they believe that he's going to know. And actually, the true movement is that I know. I don't need to know anything. I just need to listen to what wants to happen. And I need to dictate the rhythm, the when, and the how. And so the yoni in arousal, start to quiver internally. So at the question, when the man asks me, but when do I know when is the right time to penetrate her? The answer is always the same, when she begs you. And she fucking begs you. Until then, she's not ready. So she takes time. And to be able to wait for that, it means that when she's ready, she really has her heart on offer. Because inside the yoni, when you go deeper inside the yoni is the temple. It's the entrance of the temple. The inner chamber is the heart of woman. So your yoni is the opening to your heart. And that's why it's got so many layers. Because your heart is tender. Your heart is very delicate. And you wouldn't just put it anywhere or offer it to anything. You would want to protect it. And take time to get to the tender skin of your heart. It pulsates your life. It's an important gift that you offer. And so, how willing are you to take the time it takes to get to that offering? Because when you do offer that, the whole universe expresses through your body. And that's the mystery of life coming through. What was so terrifying, that was called the devil, because it was really scary. And it is scary for us too, as women. It's an enormous power, and it's not because we are born in the body of woman, we know the mystery. Yeah, it's inside of us, but for me the biggest journey is constantly going and unpack and stay in the unknowing, to really trust my natural intuition and the rhythm and the time of my body, even when it goes against everything the moment maybe dictate. And the idea that if I'm with a man and he's aroused, now I aroused him because I'm beautiful and he's erect, now I have a responsibility to his ejaculate or for him to finish his business. It's like this, as if that is a business, you know. This is a ritual of love, and I have no responsibility to the arousal of a man. This is their job. This is when I invite them to their maturity, and their maturity will be willing to wait for my time. Because when I'm really, really open, the mystery of life unfolds in their body. And you know, we also have educated a lot of men to the Okay. You want to have sex? Oh, okay. You know, we are married, we've been together for so long, he's so horny, it's been so good, he bought a new car, he just spent so much money, he works so hard, let me give him some sex, because he wants it. And I don't have a full fuck yes, I've got like, okay, I'll do it for him. And every time we do this, we educate our man that it's a yes. And in a sense, we're culturing the addiction for sex to remain in the realm of the genitals. It never goes further because we are not going further. We open the legs, but everything else is closed. My heart is closed because it required a lot of our intention and effort and willingness to activate my whole body. And it's maybe not gonna be done in 10 minutes. And now, he's tired, I can't ask him to touch me for half an hour, 2 hours, and really be open and really be honest. So we start to really censoring, and we get used that, I hear many women say, sex is overrated. What do you mean? Sex for an hour? Oh my fuck, 15 minutes is enough. I don't have time for that. I was one of those women. I thought, I know my orgasm, I can ride it in 15 minutes, I can come and be done, and I'm happy to go to sleep. Because also I never trained my body to its full potential of moving from here to here, and then to everything, and then become a mystical experience of having a conversation with reality. And then when we move beyond the heart, then I can have sex without the needs of my genital anymore. I have sex with the tree, I have sex with the rain, I have sex with conversation, because once we activated the heart, the whole body starts circulating God inside my membrane. When we say remember, this beautiful word, reactivate your membrane. This is what the physician did to this woman that was dying. Activated her membrane. Remember, also reminded the body, put back the mind of God into the membrane. This is when we say we remember. In the membrane, we bring back the mind of God. Mind is a beautiful thing. It's not the intellect. It's not intelligence. Well, it's a natural intelligence, but it's not the operating of the brain. The mind of God is the knowing, when you don't have to think about it. All these academic men, they had to think about everything and write it down in many forms, But the mind was already in the body of this woman, the activation of remembering the mind of God that is intrinsic, is in the hologram of everything that is created. That's when we say Shiva is in everything. The mind of God is in every cell of the body. Every single cell of the body has intelligence. When we activate it through presence and through pleasure, then we come back into harmony and flow with everything that exists. And so in the Tantric tradition, we say that the body of woman is the body of love. And the masculine force is the essence, is the light. And the body of love is how light feels like. Yeah, think for this for a minute. Close your eyes. Love. Imagine the light of God. Imagine it, however you want to imagine it, even this beautiful Jesus shining lights from his heart. And that's the light of the true knowing of the creator of the universe. And then how does this light land in the incarnated experience of everyday life? It feels like love. Because when we also fall in love, we radiate. No? We say this, I'm so in love. We radiate. We say this to them. You radiate. You must be in love. You're flustered. You are embodied. The light of God, the light of true knowing, it's vibrating in every cell. It feels like love. And so the tradition choose to use this language and say the body of woman is the body of love. So basically he's saying that we are being anointed with the potential to really feel the gift of God incarnated because we make baby. So we have this potential of really supporting God in making more life on the planet. And we are the makers. And life gets born inside of us. Do we make a baby? In some level, yes, but in some other level, no. I didn't do anything to make my baby. I made love. Then I just carry on doing whatever I was doing. I ate, I slept, I danced, I made more love. I wasn't busy thinking that I'm making this baby. The baby was being made by my embodiment and by the divine spark, life force, using my embodiment as a laboratory of love. Because out of this spark of lovemaking comes a baby. This is the true laboratory of love, your body, the body of woman. We are living laboratory. We don't need to have too much intellect. We didn't think the science of making this baby. We just made it. It happens through us. And the Yoni is this portal where love come in, drop a seed, and by this wonderment, we create life, and then we birth it. We popped it out from the same place that it came in. I think this is so beautiful because it really shows the temple of Yoni. It's where we're going to put our offering to the divine, like we do in a temple. We go to pray. We go to pray for what we wish, the desire. And life desire more of itself. And God, the divine, will grant you with your gifts if they are really heartfelt, not from your ego, but your heart desire. And if you have all this image of Hindu divinity, they have their hand like this. One is giving you the boons. It's offering you whatever you want. Here it is. And this is blessed. Have it with my blessing, my child. Everything you want is available to you. How honest is your request? You know, how aligned is with the harmonic flow of reality. And that's when we say you might not get what you ask for, but you really get what you need. And maybe in the depth of your heart, to meet your desire, you didn't need this, but you needed that, which will still take you where you wanted to go. So God, all the gods are like this. Maybe they've got 6 more hands, but they always have 2 that do this, you know? And for me, this is the Yoni, you know? And if someone, your partner, your beloved can enter your body like the body of the oracle, like they're entering the temple, bringing the deepest desire, you can alchemize everything in your heart. If your connection with your body-heart is open, if you allow it, if you receive to the depth of your heart, which is a big asking, that's why we have a lot of practices, because this is more easier said than done. Because the journey between here and here for women, it's all this level of patriarchy that we have to break through. Shame, taboo, fear. Our life was at stake, you know. The stake is the pole on the fire where we were all born and burnt. That's the stake. When you say my life is at stake, that's where it comes from. So it's a big journey, but if you get there and then you can receive this human being, you receive their heart. Because of course we spoke about this with the man, the lingam, the penis really begin in the heart also. Not here, this is not the base of the penis. The base of the penis in a man is his own heart. And we also spoke about that the tip of the penis, the gland, it's in the shape of a heart. And for us women it's easier to see because we look from the front. And so it's like a heart like this, you know. For men it's a little bit in a way. You have to really look from the top. So, but it's another symbol, a beautiful symbol, yeah? They're carrying the heart at the tip of the penis because for them sexuality is external. It's a gift into the world. For us, it's an alchemy. We take in the world of form inside, and we take it in the heart, and with the support of reality, we alchemize everything, and we birth more love into the world. Babies. I mean, women are raped, and they birth baby, and I love those babies. And some of these babies bring so many blessings in the life of these women, and didn't come from blessing to begin. So this is tremendous. The power of the heart is a true alchemist. So the invitation is to, every time you see a yoni, you see your own yoni, that you see your heart unfolding through all the layers, and to know that your heart is elastic, like your yoni, because your yoni stretches so much to make baby, and the heart stretches so much. It can rip apart so much for love, especially the heart of women, mother. You know, I recently had a medicine journey, and in the medicine, I sat in the heart of mothers that they know that there is no apparent hope for their children because they are in the country that is being bombed, and there is rape, there is violence, and even if you survive that war, there is very little hope for your children. And I saw these women on a boat coming from Africa, going to Italy, the southern coast of Italy, and you are in a boat where everybody's dying, where you hope that probably your child will survive it, but you also know that without you there is very little survivor and probably zero chance for a happy life or an unfolding life. And that moment when that mother has to be with that child, and fathers too, you know, I don't want to deny this experience, but I know that in many of these, the fathers are somewhere else earning the money and doing the war, because that is the other victimhood of men, that, you know, we can spare their bodies, they go to war, we send the men to war, but the women have this bonding with these children. And when you look in the eyes of a child, you have to find a place where you have no doubt, because they only have you. And if you don't find some hope for them, there will be no hope in this little body for their life. And I'm thinking of all these amazing women that they're carrying. They have to find it. This is how the heart really expands. And I think maybe some of you, mother, have a lived experience of moments like this when you know reality look like fucking shit in this moment. But I can't let my child know this because it's gonna inseminate their belief in life. So let them believe that life is beautiful and wonderful, and so they may find beauty and wonder in their life. And when we have to show up in this way for them, what actually happens, that it also uplifts us. Because if I have to find it for them, I will have to find it. And somewhere in my heart, there is a seed of beauty and wonder and hope, always. If I practice expansion. And so the practice of, you know, relaxing in sexuality and opening the yoni, and really deeply receiving the deepest movement of humanity in connecting. It's the biggest prayer we can offer to the world. And for women to allow the whole body to participate, not just my heart, my yoni, my mouth, my face, the tip of my finger, my legs, my feet, everything, every single cell in my body is penetrated by life, by the luminous awareness that the masculine force represents. For me, become almost like a political action to support the pleasure on the planet, to expand this vibration of potential love that has to be found somewhere is here. And on the surface of our life is so lost and distorted. But in the depth of our body, we can still find the purity of this beautiful movement, so primordial. And for women to deepen their capacity to orgasm in the body, I feel there is a parallel with the body of the world. The body of woman, we keep hearing say this, is the body of the world. Mm-hmm. And so for me to actively change the pain in the world may not look like activists in the street screaming and taking political action. It might also look like this for some, but in the membrane of your body as a woman that become the membrane of the body of the world is the capacity to feel love. And love is also in the ability to relax into pleasure, this very courageous gesture of resting back and accepting the reality of the world now. Can I take it all in the depth of my heart, and with my exhale, allow the heart to alchemize it. That is not my intellect choosing how things needs to be in the world. Because oftentimes women, we do this, we love a lot, we love too much, because then we have an agenda that we want to direct how love must look in the world. Because I love you so much, you should be like this. Because I love so much, things should go like that. And the courage to just love so much and more and more and more backward. So we also dropping in the deeper chunk, the back of the heart. And our job is just to keep loving deeper and deeper and invite the vibration of the whole body to participate without an agenda, letting go of my idea of how it should look. And for me, this is the only way to participate in supporting, in balancing the aggression and the violence in the world. You know, to bring, you know, like to harmonize, that we don't forget. You know, I believe that probably the hardship of the world are essential to the balance of things, is the order of things. But for women to really deeply, this is my invitation when I speak about spiritual eroticism for women. You know, there is all this neo-tantric awakening that now I'm going to become the queen of my orgasm, that I know all the move, and I know how to generate my body and have orgasm on command. And because I'm an awakened goddess, I'm going to tell the man what I need and what I want. This is not what I'm talking about. Because this is again going into the masculine egoic patterns of associating my erotic pleasure with goals and appearance in the outer world. So this is much, much deeper, that my orgasm is not a tool, is not a weapon that I'm throwing at people to get what I want in life. The real challenging is to go the opposite. Can I love so much that I want nothing from it? That I also offer myself at the altar of love. And I trust that love will do what it needs to do, the same way we make baby. We can't decide, I'm going to make it blonde, I'm going to make it tall, I'm going to make it no, we don't know. We make, and whatever baby come out, for the mother is the most beautiful baby. You know when mother shows you the baby, isn't it beautiful? And you go, right, yeah, sweet.
Squishy.
And this is, for us, it's the most beautiful, it's everything you ask for. But it didn't come from your ego. You rested back and you join the movement of life. It's an orgasm to make baby, because it means you enter a rhythm that you have no control of. In orgasm, we ought to lose control. If you have an agenda, you know, when people make love magic, sex magic, and maybe has some value there also. But to be careful not to be too hooked on that, because the shadow of sex magic that you're now using this force of eroticism for goals. And your goal can also be peace on the world, but it's still your ego thinking that you know what the world needs. Instead, can I offer myself in my pleasure, in my joining in, accepting whatever needs to be, wherever the world needs to go, that my sexuality participate to the greater mind of the divine, not just my little mind. So it's a big responsibility, ability to respond to pleasure and to receive direction from pleasure, like the oracle in your own body, to trust it, even if it goes against everything you thought you wanted. You are with this beautiful guy, you flirted for months, and finally you are together, and now you want to make love, and your Yoni says, I'm not open. The ability to be able to sit with that and soften everything else, and don't open your legs when it's not a real full yes, when your heart is not open. And then I think we start to educate men in a different way, that they will be willing to wait for your true yes. Because then they know that when they have a real yes, oh my God, the cosmos is opening, the million folds, and they're in the heart of the Mahamudra. Their mind will be so inspired in the masculine way to see the world. They will get gift and insight. And so they will be willing to wait for longer. And we will culture each other with maturity. And sometimes us women, we open the legs quickly because also we want things. We want to be loved, we want to be liked, we want to be the favorite. And maybe there are many girls, and if I give it to him, he's going to like me more than he's going to like her. And we are all selling ourselves short. And so the movement with spiritual eroticism changes your life. It's about great love. It's about dying to a lot of idea of my appearance and my gains. And it's also about not objectifying my own sexuality like something I also use to survive in the world, but becoming the subject of my sexuality, not the object. When we objectify things, they are over there. There is me and the thing. And I gain a lot of sensation and imagination and power and state from that thing. Desire, inspiration. When there is no thing, there is just sexuality in me, and I become the subject of my sexual desire. It means I enter the heart of God, this Advait, this is absolute non-duality. And then your journey internally as the subject of everything that happened, and therefore is nothing that I'm looking at, but it's all about feeling and sensation and unraveling pocket of myself, like a million Yoni in your cells that open and kiss this moment. Your mouth is another Yoni. We call the lips of the Yoni, and we have the lips of the mouth, right? It's the same thing. And this is the organ of truth. Through the mouth, we speak truth. The throat, truth, out of the mouth. And when the mouth and the truth were, the source of the mouth speaking truth is the heart also. And the heart also connects to the Yoni. So the Yoni is another organ of truth. And if you could speak truth through your Yoni, imagine the power. And if you can speak your Yoni desire through your mouth, and sometimes like, I don't know what I'm saying, I don't know why I say that. Yeah, maybe it was your Yoni that needed really to say that. And to trust that, and to stop doubting, and to stop being afraid that we are disruptive and make things. You should be that, and then look what's happening to you. Are you being fulfilled? Because when you are sexually fulfilled, then watch nectar come out of your mouth. Beautiful poetry. Everybody listen. what you've got to say, when you come from the place of fulfillment, because you don't have to convince anybody actually. You just are in fulfilled pleasure. So as long as you are in it, who cares if the other doing it or not doing it, if they believe you or not believing you, who cares? There is only you and the cosmos. And when you're in joy, everything responds to you. So that's enough. Very different way to communicate. Instead of being high-pitched and speaking up here, wanting to get power from here, from our mind. Of course, we were educated like that. So the challenge now is to drop in the deep and the wisdom of the womb and start to have conversation from here and see what happens. It might just expand your life, and if that's all it does, 100%. Your life is all you got, right? Your life is the only thing you have to take care of. So you're doing fantastic. So I think this was a lot and rich. And I want to invite some reflection. If you felt moved in any way, if it can be question, but also just sharing of where are you going with this? If there is a recognition in your body, if there is a knowing when you hear me speaking like this in your body, particularly the body of women. Or if you thought that everything I said actually it's crazy and doesn't apply to your life, I would love to hear that too. Because again, I'm not here to convince anybody. I'm really stimulated by also, truth exchange and laboratories.
Well, I know I'm not a woman, but I will respond to one thing you said, just so I'm clear if I interpreted it correctly, which I appreciated, is often if I'm with a woman who has a goal within the sexual experience, like she wants to achieve something, and I always used to perceive that as a masculine quality in this feminine identified being, and often women would claim, I want to be in my femininity, I want to be taken, I want to be, but then with such a powerful goal from the experience. So I used to feel as it was kind of a disguise, it was a masculine quality, so it was being disguised.
Yeah, so it's disguised as the very empowered goddess that can claim it and tell you how things are. But underneath, it's a woman that is afraid of losing power, is afraid of not having power within, and so she needs to claim it in the movement of life. So the feminine ego, actually, there is no feminine ego. In the forces, I'm not talking about men and women. In my reflection, I also noticed that ego belongs, in a sense, in the masculine way that needs to assert itself in life. Fame, success, recognition. And then there are places where we do things for life, where we know it's good for life, and no one will ever acknowledge you. There will be no recognition, even if you're a man. That's the feminine. Because she doesn't really care about the visible. She's more invested in the invisible, in the true movement that support and sustain life. That's the making of the baby. It's in the dark, it's in the quiet. And women are not honored, are not saying every day, oh my God, you're making a baby. Today you made a nervous system. Today you made a heart pumping. You're making the eyeballs. How are you feeling today? I cook for you. It's not happening. We just make it and it's happening. It's because in a sense, and probably if someone would do this to a pregnant woman, she was like, fucking shut up now, leave me alone. I just need to sleep. And I reflected on this. This is, there is no ego. So I'm not talking men and women. Feminine and masculine. Because it's irrelevant to have recognition. And so, in the dynamic you said, is definitely that. And many of these women are not even aware, and it's a tremendous step forward the woman that would never speak about her sexual desire because she was never allowed. And now there is this first awakening where she's allowed to speak. And so the first awakening is like she's going to command everybody. So it's the teenage girl, you know. And what Rahasya always used to say, yes, you have to be compassionate, that when the feminine start awakening, she destroy everything at the beginning. It's like a teenage girl. You know it's just a phase. Don't take it for real. Just be patient. She'll move through. Because it's just the resentment. It's all this year of being shut down that explode in a way that responding to that is a bit disruptive. And then she settled, and then she realized, okay, I don't have to have so many movements anymore. I don't have to assert my desire forcefully. You know, if you really want to have sex with a man, you know, there are ways, it's a woman that always decides that, let's put it that way.
Oh, for sure.
So she can ask in a very averted way and assert herself, which sometimes puts you off because now as a man you think she's doing it and you're not doing it and you're losing power. And if she just really wants it, she's also going to make you believe that you are doing it. So she doesn't need to assert her ego. She just wants the event to happen. And so even in making you believe that you are the doer, she create the movement that she really desired. So it's a polarity. It's like the Greek wedding when she says the men are the head, but the women are the neck, and the neck turned the head. These women didn't need to assert themselves like feminists in the world. Yeah, it looks like I'm not doing anything. I'm moving mountains. Just really quietly, so no one is intimidated. Because if I intimidate the patriarchy, they'll come against me. So I'll do it quietly, and I do it even more powerfully so, and they're all going to believe they are doing it. At the end of the day, who cares? The important thing is it gets done. You wanted to say so?
I was just, you raised the point earlier about men, particularly at a certain age, lots of testosterone, and they want to go out and they want to be active in the world, and they want to, well, very often it comes down to chalking up as many conquests as they
Conquest, conquering.
can. Maybe, here's a suggestion, a lot to do with that is that men don't go through any rite of passage.
Oh yes.
This is the problem. They don't do anything to earn that right. They don't go through any kind of rituals.
No, they do rite of passage. It's called neck, 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 down, 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 down. How many beer you can drink? You are a real man. Look at you, and he can't even stand up. And then he goes and fuck the girl. Well, this is a ritual of initiation, unfortunately, of our community. It's terrifying.
It's very fucked up.
It's very fucked up. So I'm also compassionate for that boy that goes nailing the girl. He doesn't know anything better, you know. So what can he do? He's also fucking lost. And so
there's generations and generations of men that never learned it.
Yeah. And maybe the one guy that would say, oh no, when a woman opens the legs, I'm in reverence and I bow to her, he'll be ridiculed by everybody. So even if naturally there will be a true movement of recognition and the true masculinity would want to do that, his ego wouldn't let him because he's going to be ridiculed by, or if he does it in secret.
Well, there were many ancient cultures where you weren't able to take, you weren't allowed to take a woman or be with a woman until you had gone through those rites of passage. And sometimes you didn't even survive it.
Yes.
It was that radical.
Yeah.
Like for instance, the Spartans, you had to go out and you had, I think, one animal skin, and I think maybe you had a spear, and that was it. And you had to go out and survive. I can't remember for how long. And you had to kill a wild animal, and then come back with the skin of that animal to prove that
you are ready to penetrate the body of woman, which is the body of reality,
it was a big deal.
which is the body of love, which is the body of life and death. So when you kill an animal and you have the courage to look at them in the eyes, kill it, and be shattered by it, because to kill something, it's a massive event. If you and also create tenderness in the heart. I think a man that goes through that, it's humbled by reality and by life. And his capacity to feel, it's expanded. Then you enter the body of woman. Because now also your ability to love and you perceive and have reverence for life and death.
So now the initiation becomes getting like seriously fucked up by life and getting humbled. And that can take a lot longer than it should.
Yeah, and it maybe never come because if you don't do that with awareness, you keep fucking because you got fucked. You know, this is the point for me with this. What Tantra does, it brings awareness, you know, in the space, because life can be really hard on you and you can constantly respond and push back and it can harden you and you becoming more and more of a jerk and more aggressive. Or life can fuck you up and you can allow this fucking to happen at the level of your heart and be softened and allow the hardship to tenderize you and to love, you know, to expand your capacity to feel on all level. And this will be then a different initiation that matures you and develop your nervous system.
And like you said, it has to be done with awareness.
It has to be dealt with awareness. And that's why we need the elders and we need the representative and we need mentors and we need people like us that has the courage to step in and invent a new ritual. With young boys and young girls, you know, and unfortunately these are still great taboos because when I present myself to schools, no one wants me to talk at the school. One of my students, I gave a talk, is like, you must come to this school and talk. It's a boys' school. All the boy must hear this is radical, will change the life. A cinder house, I think. And the guy listened to the talk and said, no, I think she's great. And I think I'll send my son, I'll pass the video to my son. I can't take this to the school. No, I just can't. This is too...
That will require a lot of courage.
You know, I can't do this in the school. There is a structure, and then there are people religion. This is still too edgy, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And so we going slowly. We're moving. You know, I see the bright side. We're moving slowly. But, you know, Tantra say, there is no time. All is happening in this moment. And when I read the book of this Matteo Columbus, I thought, my brother, I'm right there with you. 400 years have passed, but nothing has passed. We are in it together. I've got the same fascination you are having. And there is that spark, that entry point is still alive. It still exists. There is no time. And, you know, that doesn't make me depressed when I think of life in this terms. Give me hope.
I feel there's not enough initiation for women either. Like when a girl starts bleeding, or maybe not for all women, but I think for a lot of young women, there isn't enough ritual around when a woman starts bleeding, or there's not enough education for young women about how sacred your yoni is.
Yeah.
And I think that leads to what you spoke about of a lot of women not knowing.
Not knowing the power of their body.
Yeah, it should be a
know?
celebration.
Yeah.
Yes.
But for most women, I think, well,
we don't know it.
I can't speak for myself, but
yeah. I can also speak for myself and my experience. You know, in my 20s, I was making love, and I think I was out of my body. I wasn't in my body. I was making love for all the wrong reasons. I didn't know my pleasure, but I was doing this thing because my boyfriend wants it, and I love him so much. And I didn't know the power of me being present in my body, and now it can heal and change another body, you know, and we underestimate this completely. So women also participate in the dance of disempowerment. We are doing it to ourselves to begin with. And
like there's not much elders to kind of pass that knowledge on.
Yeah. the majority of elders pretend to be young, and they do Botox and plastic surgery, so they look like little girls, because they like mature femininity. Femininity is really intimidating our current reality. The men in power, the politician, have a sexual development of a teenager boy measuring their cock. Like missiles and arms, and how big is my cock, and how big is yours, and I'm gonna take over. Let me put, you said conquer, we speak a lot about conquering last month. You know, putting down the flag, I'm conquering the land, I'm conquering the nation, I'm conquering women, I'm conquering the body of women, I'm conquering your heart. Instead of being in awe and devoted to your heart and devoted to love. And so the mature feminine wouldn't be interested in anything of this. So it's almost like intimidating for this masculinity. And so it's not available. And so we're pushing into like that looking young is good, that looking young means you're gonna get away more, you have more response from the world, and so on and so forth. So there are very little women, you know, for me when Sophia Loren went and redid her face completely, you know, was an idol, a hero that collapsed, you know, this beautiful woman, this amazing actress, revered all over the world. She had the world in the palm of her hand, and she was aging so gracefully because she's beautiful. And you look at her as a mask of herself, and that breaks my heart every time, because now where do I go? Who do I look? You know, we also have to pioneer this, and it's intimidating. Yeah.
In what you were speaking, I felt it really in my body, in this sense of the bliss, owning the bliss and the feminine, and in the Buddhist Tantras, and it kind of just shows the permeability or the non-substantiality of this dynamic between the bliss and the truth, and the masculine and the feminine. In the Buddhist Tantras, they talk of the perfection of the feminine being wisdom, that the woman is the embodiment of wisdom, and the masculine is the method and the bliss, and that you actually switch those. It's like the conventional view of the masculine and feminine is switched around. But that's just on the external level. So the woman is the wisdom externally manifested, but internally she is bliss. And then the masculine is externally might manifest as method in doing things and giving bliss, but internally is wisdom. And so in each of us we have this dynamic already of the masculine and feminine, and how we represent in the world is arbitrary, you know. And when you find that non-duality through the connection, but it's also the dance within. So I really resonated beautifully.
And it's the lovemaking.
Yeah. So there's also the feeling, the lovemaking within myself,
in
and
your
what you were
heart.
saying. It's like, yeah.
And also when you speak about wisdom, yes, it's not intellect, it's not intelligence, it's wisdom. And wisdom comes from the heart, not from the intellect. That's a very different. Then it's feminine. Wisdom is always feminine. Intellect is masculine. In patriarchy, the way we see moving with your head. And blissdom and blissdom. Blissdom is because true wisdom feeds bliss. You know? When action are taken in the world, motivated by wisdom, they can only but create more bliss, more beauty, more harmony. So it's blissdom. It's write this down. Got it on record. The other day I came up with the heartquake. And my friend was going through the heartquake. I feel my heart, the breakup, it's like a heart, it's like an earthquake. And I repeated it, and of course with my accent, it's a heartquake. It's the heartquake!
I think that actually leads nicely into just what I was thinking. As you were saying how you know, we had that beautiful moment when you were like, our hearts are so tender, like they have so much potential to just break, and they're so tender. But at the same time, in another breath, you're saying we must just lead from the heart. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's quite something.
Yeah. It's like, makes me think when you were speaking, like the heart surgeon, you know, that it cuts the layer of the body to unfold the heart. And then when you take the heart, I mean, not that I've ever done it, but I listen to surgeons that, you know, hold the heart in their hand. And in one way it's so fragile, and in another way it's so powerful. It's the power of life. It's so humbling. There is nothing fragile about this pumping.
It's so much more than a pump.
It's much more than a pump. It's the connection to the cosmos.
What it has neural networks in it.
Yeah.
It's
a brain. So it's this duality, you know. In one way, it requires. I mean, when I speak about tenderness, it's also like this discernment. The yogini, the dakini, was so representative of discernment. They've got the sword of truth. You know, what do you want to really give your life to? It's your life. Do you want power and fame? Do you want more than that, actually? Or when we think, I want the house, I want the family, but because what's behind it? What's behind it? I think it looks like that, but it's not that I want. It's actually peace, harmony, contentment, flow, truth. But we think it looks like this, and I need to have the bigger car, or the Gucci bag, or the Chanel lipsticks, and there is where we lose the heart. It has so much other potential, you know. And we not bring in this heart that, you know, we said this last month, fuck with your heart and make love with your genital. Your genitals are so tender. They're not designed for fucking. They're designed for love. And, you know, the layer of the yoni, the tenderness, it takes so much time for arousal. And you have to really listen as a lover, because every yoni is different, and this one likes it like this, and that one likes it like this. And if you listen, she will tell you, but you really have to listen. You have to take time. And the heart is designed for the fucking in life, because it contains so much. It expands so much. I mean, Eve Ensler has a beautiful monologue in the Vagina monologue, which is a masterpiece, which I performed for many years as a piece of teaching, actually. And it became an inner mantra because I learned it. And at one point she spoke about this vagina birthing, and she says, she makes this parallel, the vagina and the heart. After she birthed life, and she's totally, wow, I let myself see it, the vagina, because we never look into the vagina deeply, profoundly, as, you know, member of humanity. In tantric practice, we do yoni gazing, but otherwise we don't deeply gaze. And when someone births in the movie, there is always the curtain. We shouldn't be looking there. We should be blinded by the mystery otherwise. And she says, I let myself see her, which is powerful, because you have to let it in to really see the power of what you're looking at. And she saw the color of the vagina, the blue, the bruise, the yellow, the broken parted, the blood. And suddenly it occurred to me that the vagina is the heart, and the heart is the vagina. And the vagina expands to let us out when we are born, and the heart expands to let the world in. When we love deeply, we expand the heart. And the vagina change shape, change form, just like the heart when we love deeply. So it was a beautiful piece. Now I don't remember all the words, but this parallel, that there is so much room in the heart, and we don't expect this little hole of the vagina to become this thing when the head. Why? Because we don't get exposed. We don't see this. We should look this at school when you are 15, even if you go, ow! But you look at it, and you look at it again, and you look at it again, until you start going, fuck. can my body do this? Wow! Fuck, that's amazing. And then we'll teach us women that we are flexible, we are stretchable, and the body needs to be soft in order to stretch. And if we have the body of a male athlete, we're not going to be able to stretch in this way, that our emotion can be so flexible, that our nature has the ability to expand and to have soft tissue. I think we will culture a different relationship with our soft body if we see, wow, what we can do. You know, this is also something, maybe, if you feel moved to bring new ritual, because sometimes we think ritual have to be so spiritual, and the incense and the ancestor and all in the line and the fire. Sometimes it's just showing a video or showing the picture of your friend that just birthed and the vagina is bleeding, and show it to your girl when she's 14, 15. So it's not a shock later. That is part of the living anatomy, that's what women do. You know, and the yoni expands so much. This is the head of a baby. I mean, that's a hell of an expansion. So imagine how much your heart expands in the invisible. This is the visible. Then in the invisible, the capacity. You can fuck with the whole of humanity, actually. All of them inside your heart. The one you like and the one you don't like, even. Yeah? It's the capacity of the heart. Yes, Rob?
It's hard to... I'm going to try. You brought two concepts together, the masculine, this luminous awareness, which to me almost feels like infinite presence, and then the feminine's capacity for the depth of love, and to open up that depth of love, which I can imagine must also be infinite in its absolute form.
Of course.
So the ability for the masculine to be luminously present to that depth of love. How does one cultivate that?
Just to be aware of all this conversation, so that you physically penetrate a woman, you know that you're actually penetrating her heart, which is the heart of humanity. How would you move? What would you bring? Would you stay distracted? Yeah, maybe if you penetrate just her vagina, you can also have the mind into fantasy and you can go into story, because the movement finished there. But if you as a man have this awareness, suddenly there is a much bigger responsibility in your action. It would bring more presence in you, more reverence, more humility, and also the beauty that you can invite a deeper movement inside her body. You can support her in opening deeper. You know, this is also a game we do together. Is never to say that now she's enlightened and you're just a servant. We are servant of each other. And by inviting you deeper inside of me, you are helping me to get to know me better. You are supporting me to go into the mystery of my own being. I need you, in fact, to go deeper inside of myself. I can't do this alone. I mean, I can use whatever vibrator and dildo and cervical wand, but there is no human attached to that. There is no vibration of light and love, of God. And when that, so you can go as deep as you can, you know, but there is so much more depth that happens when there is a man that can support my depth. And there is another heart of humanity that penetrates my heart. You know, then everything exponentiates. Let me say this. You know, so I need you to help me to go deeper. This is the mystery, you know. I don't know the mystery of the feminine. because it's not something I can know with my mind. And the more I dwell there, the less I realize I know. The more I think I know, the more I lose my way. But I know that in the depth of lovemaking, my partner can really support me to go into really uncharted territory that are very scary for me to go into. Because it might look like wild, and it look like I'm screaming, I'm crying, I'm shouting, I'm laughing, I'm doing all at the same time. And if I think that you don't have enough depth to support me, I won't do that. I will censor myself because I'm afraid to scare you. I'm afraid that the moment I go into that wild realm, you will drop me and you will be scared of me and you're going to stop loving me and I'm going to be alone in the mystery again. And it's a scary place to be. And it's a place where my heart opens so much and I want to be together, not alone there, in love, in harmony, with other human beings. And so your support can be that you are not afraid of the Bhairavi. You are not afraid of the mystery. You are not afraid of the terror to meet the depth of your own heart with all your fear. It's going to reflect to you. And if you can stay unwavering and remember your devotion, because you are devoted to truth, and now truth looks really ugly. If you can stay there, and because God made it so perfect. Pleasure is the best way to connect your devotion. Stay in the pleasure of the undulation and the breath, and don't go into the mind. And maybe she's crying and she's screaming and she's pulling the hair, and you relax and you let her know, I'm not afraid of this. This feels so good, because you can physically go so deeper and physically, it's so intertwined. There is a heightened place of sensitivity at the tip of your lingam also, when you start to go really deep into the cervix. And if you stay in the sensation of what that feels like, that helps you not to be afraid in your mind, in your story. And together you can journey much deeper. And she maybe goes in wave, and then she'll soften again. And then she's a new woman. And she shed her fears, the fear to be seen in her power, for example. Big one for women. And you're now supporting a woman in her empowerment. Of course, it's not for you to make this your ego trip, that I'm now this healer, that my cock heals women and empower them. And I'm this Daka. This is the shadow of the Daka. I'm devoted and student of this forever, and you have to see what it does. You've got to receive the blessings. But at the same time, if you're expanding, you give an opportunity. It's happening together, And it's the same thing with the Dakini and man. When you penetrate the Dakini, there is always a potential that because she knows her depth, you can have quicker access to your own depth. She's not doing it for you. She doesn't gonna make the magic and suddenly you're gonna see God. You have to put your effort and your willingness and your courage. She's doing it for her. She goes where she likes to go and when she knows she can go. But the companion also needs to have a willingness to go there. She can't do it for him. So it's a potential.